Omar, talk to me about what it is like as a Palestinian American to see so many of your friends and family members and community members get killed in the thousands, men, women, children, and then see Israeli officials and the American president just deny it's happening, deny the numbers, deny those deaths.
Yeah, it has been gut-wrenching watching this happen. I've never seen this happen in any previous round of Israel's successive assaults on Gaza, where my feed just on my social media scrolling down is filled with people whom I know personally posting about their dead loved ones, family members, children, brothers, sisters, cousins who have been killed. And honestly, watching Israeli officials try to deny responsibility for what everybody knows is taking place is nothing short of deplorable. We are looking at what human rights organizations have documented as massive war crimes of indiscriminate bombings of Palestinian civilian areas, in many cases obliterating entire families from existence. And this is not, you know, the pretense is of them not trying to not be responsible for what they're openly saying they plan on doing, because the rhetoric from Israeli leaders has been genocidal throughout this entire campaign and even before it's even started, starting with cutting off water and electricity and food from the entire population in Gaza and describing them as human animals, to making references to biblical passages that reference killing every man, woman, and child and animal. This is undeniably genocidal rhetoric, and the actions have unfortunately so far matched. And then to play this silly game of trying to avoid responsibility for what we know you've said you're doing and you are indeed doing is incredibly distasteful.
I tremble when I think about the consequences of this mass killing for the potential safety of the Israelis I care about, because we know that Hamas recruits its fighters from the families of people that Israel has killed. From this mass death in Gaza, you are not going to get something more moderate than Hamas, something that's more willing to live at peace with Israel. You're going to get a politics which is even harder to deal with for Israel. That's another reason that I would like this ceasefire.
Omar, the Israelis are now suggesting they'll escalate in the south of Gaza, having already taken over and basically depopulated northern Gaza. They suggested the Al-Shifa hospital was the beating heart, the HQ of Hamas. We've yet to see evidence of that claim. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, though, is now saying the real headquarters of Hamas is in southern Gaza, in the Khan Yunis refugee camp. Omar, do you hear the sound of goalpost shifting?
To say the least. I mean, this is honestly, it's insulting to everybody's intelligence that we are playing this silly game of pretending that the Hamas headquarters is here or there. Obviously, if they had any clue where it was, that would have been the first thing that they would have hit, and that could have been the end of that conversation. We've hit the headquarters, the end of that, but they have no idea what they're doing, and there isn't a real end game. Frankly, there isn't a real way to defeat Hamas militarily completely without obliterating the entirety of the Gaza Strip, which seems to be what Israel is actually doing, in effect, having destroyed, 50% of the housing units throughout the entirety of the Gaza Strip, and now moving on to where they've told the people to move, claiming that this is where the safe area is, and having already bombed it relentlessly to begin with, and now talking about escalating there. It really is a horror show. And just, Mehdi, to the point that Peter had just made that I think is really important, we are here in the first place precisely because Palestinians have been denied freedom for decade after decade. And this is the reason why organizations like Hamas become empowered, because that kind of despair produces the resentment that leads people to want to take up arms and retaliate using violence. Yes. And the only way out of this is going to be resolving this so that Palestinians can be free in order to have a more secure future for both Palestinians and Israelis.